All right, so we're going to be talking about how to combine sentences and different methods there are of doing that. And let me see if I can get this to work. So as you have learned since you were probably in elementary school, having too many repetitive, short, choppy, simple sentences can be, let me see if I'm doing this the right way. Oh yeah, can't go without those great stock photos. So here are some situations where you might want to combine sentences. So instead of having several simple sentences, you'll have either complex or compound sentences, or sometimes we'll see that even just plucking one word from one of the sentences can do that same work. So again, you kind of got this. The Titanic was the largest ship of its time. The Titanic was also the most luxurious ship of its time. The Titanic was on its maiden voyage. Not the best writing there. So we'll see on the next screen how this could be more attention grabbing. So there we go. Okay, so the first method we're going to look at is taking one word or a phrase from one sentence and injecting it into the other sentence to combine it. So magicians guard the secrets of their tricks. They guard their secrets closely. So we have basically same subject, same verbs. We're just probably going to take that word closely and slide it on in there. There we go. So sometimes it'll require you to change maybe an adjective into an adverb or something like that. Or in this case, changing a verb to an adverb. So again, adding that seemingly in there gives you all the information you needed from that sentence saying that the tricks only seemed impossible. So same situation here, except instead of a single word, we're just taking a phrase. And you won't have to keep straight what the different types of phrases are. Different lesson for a different day. Spoiler alert, not this year. Okay, so I won't go through all of these, but I'll make sure that I always go through at least one or two. So these are the same exact sentences that appear on the quiz on Canvas. And this is just your friendly reminder that the quiz on Canvas is a daily grade. It's a participation grade. It's just practice. If we were doing this in class, like I said, we would probably go through all or almost all of them together as time permits. And so the only reason it's a quiz is because that's what Canvas calls it when there's multiple choice questions. So Natalie opened the trunk slowly. The trunk was antique. Our key word there is antique. Natalie opened the antique trunk slowly. So we're also going to look at how we might put things together using conjunctions And so when we do that, I feel like I skipped something there. You'll be having either compound subjects, compound verbs, or compound objects. So again, you don't need to know which one it is to be able to complete the assignment correctly. But in this case, this would be a compound object. The two different things that the bike needs are brakes and a tail light. Same thing here, two objects of that sentence. And in this case, we have an actual compound sentence. So he plays basketball, he likes baseball more. We both have the same subject there. So here we have different people, but same action, same verb. And like those previous ones, different people, same objects. I feel like, oh, okay. So keeping the subject and then joining the two different verbs. Now we have a compound subject. Both Nick and Sharon sing well. Aren't they cute? Okay, so again, we have some more practice ones here. And you'll either be combining the subjects, the verbs, or the objects. And so we'll look at the first one. Apples grow on trees, peaches grow on trees. I am, because now that I remember it, I don't think I have the answer to the second one showing. But I do want to point out that even though that is a really crazy sentence or set of sentences about my cat enjoys music, my cat does not like loud noises, I did not create this PowerPoint, and I have not surveyed my cats to find out if they like music or not. Like most cats, they don't like loud noises, but not sure what their musical tastes are, to be honest. Okay, so going back to that one, apples and peaches grow on trees. Okay, so we're going to talk about both compound and complex sentences, but the first one we're going to look at is compound sentences, and it's when both ideas are equally important, is when you would combine the two sentences as compound sentences. And we'll look at the subtle difference in complex sentences where sometimes just by nature of the way you put them together, you are choosing to make the information from one of those sentences subordinate to or less significant than the other. And there are different ways you can combine them. The most common way probably is using a comma and a coordinating conjunction. So one of your fanboys, if you remember that, fanboys, for and not, but, or, yet. So sorry, not the order I'm used to saying them in, but the order of the acronym. Or you can use a semicolon by itself, or a semicolon with a conjunctive adverb, such as however or therefore. Okay, I can't go to practice today. I'll be there tomorrow. And so again, for all of these, there are multiple ways you could put them together. Technically speaking, you could just slap that semicolon in the middle, but that is usually not necessarily the clearest way to do it if it doesn't show the connection between the two sentences. Um, so I think the one on the quiz that uses a semicolon by itself is number 4 here. Our house is easy to find, semicolon, it's right on the corner. I believe that's how that one works. Okay, so here, you know, your kind of more common comma and fanboy conjunction. I can't go to practice today, but I'll be there tomorrow. And so again, in this case, I've given you choices, so it hopefully won't be too stressful. But when you're looking through the choices, you want to think about which one of those conjunctions best captures the relationship between the ideas. So technically, could you say, I can't go to practice today, comma, and I'll be there tomorrow? The English police aren't going to come after you and say, no, you're wrong. But this one, most of us would probably agree is better at showing how those two actually fit together. Okay, so again, like I said, when there's not the same equal level of importance, you'll have a complex sentence. And this can be a subjective decision depending on who you are writing about will determine which one of these clauses stays independent and which one of them becomes subordinate. Are you writing about the band, in which case you might say the band played while the whole team left the field, because the band is the primary focus of that sentence. On the other hand, if your focus is on the football team or soccer team or whatever, the whole team left the field while the band played. So it's a very subtle distinction. But using a subordinating conjunction creates that imbalance. Because again, I can just say the band played. It's not a great sentence, but it is independent. It doesn't need anybody else to help it. But if I come in here and say, while the whole team left the field, you know, somebody's going to ask what happened, because this conjunction here makes that information incomplete now, and you need to know the rest of the information to have a complete sentence. You might not care about the rest of the information, but grammatically speaking, you need to know it to be able to complete that sentence. So again, sometimes there will be a very obvious relationship between the two. Sometimes you'll kind of have a little bit more discretion about what is the dominant information. So we've talked about this before when we talked about modifiers, but the dependent clauses can do the job of an adjective in the sentence, in this case describing the students. It can do the job of an adverb, in this case describing when he woke up, or it can take the place of a noun. So the lighthouse, which has stood for more than a century, is perched on a cliff. And again, there is wiggle room in exactly how you put these together, but you know, you want to be careful not to get into misplaced modifier territory. If you didn't move things around and squish it together like they have here, it would imply that the cliff has stood for more than a century, which clearly would be true if the lighthouse has been there this whole time. Well, actually, I take that back because it no longer is part of it. But most cliffs are more than a century old. Geographical features tend to be thousands or millions of years old, not just decades old. But again, you want to make sure your sentence is as clear as possible. And therefore, you usually want to make sure the modifier is as close to the word that it is describing as is practical. Okay, so adverbs can do a lot of different things. It might describe when something is happening, or why, or how. Okay, so again, I'm giving you choices if you are doing this on Canvas. If you're writing it out on paper, then you do have a lot of freedom in how to combine it. But if you're doing the multiple choice version, like I said, you just have to choose which of the two is better. Sometimes one will be flat out wrong. And the reason I'm mentioning that again is because I think in at least one or two of these, the wrong answer choice is wrong because it's not the right type of clause. So a lot of them will just be obvious that they're clunky sentences, the way that they're combined, or there's missing information or something like that. But I think in at least one of these four, the problem is that, it's an adverb instead of an adjective or something like that. So again, technically speaking, I don't think you have to know or remember the difference between adjectives and adverbs to correctly answer these, but it might help with a few of them. So, but remember, it's a participation grade. Please don't stress. All right, so we're down to the final ones here. There are 5 more of these, and these will be a variety of strategies. So some of them might involve taking just one word or phrase from a sentence and combining it with the other sentence. Some of them might be compound subjects or compound verbs, and some of them might be either a compound or complex sentence. And again, if you were doing this on paper and writing it out, you would have a lot of discretion in how to do it. But if you're doing the multiple choice version on Canvas, I tried to make the what we call distractors, the wrong answer, pretty obviously inferior to the one that is correct and that was provided by the PowerPoint. So again, in this case, the child gave a joyful shout would be one good way of combining that information. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, I tried to make it simple and straightforward, just a little bit of good practice to kind of brush up on some grammar and writing skills before we break for the summer. And I'm pretty sure it's set so that you can retake it if you want to, but like I said, it's a participation grade, so don't worry yourself too much about it. Just kind of give it a good effort and you'll be fine. All right, guys, take care and have a good week. Stay safe. And I'm still recording, aren't I? Let's